Is being single better than having a partner in old age? Have you ever wondered why some elderly people remain sharp, energetic, and happy, while others seem to age so quickly, both mentally and physically? Studies show that only 5% of seniors manage to maintain high levels of health and vitality after 70, but what if the secret lies in something unexpected? In this video, we'll uncover the profound truth behind why being single in old age could actually lead to a more fulfilling, healthier, and peaceful life. Through the lens of Zen Buddhism, you'll discover how solitude fosters emotional independence and inner peace. Stick around until the end to learn the key to embracing solitude and transforming it into a powerful tool for happiness, longevity, and freedom. From the moment we take our first steps into the world, we are bombarded with stories that glorify love as the ultimate fulfillment. Fairy tales end with the prince and princess living happily ever after, movies dramatize grand romantic gestures, and society reinforces the idea that finding a life partner is the pinnacle of human experience. But what happens after the wedding? What happens when reality sets in, when passion fades, and when love turns into obligation? History is filled with examples of relationships that, rather than bringing joy, have become gilded cages. Take the case of Empress Alexandra of Russia. Her deep, obsessive love for Tsar Nicholas II led to disastrous decisions that isolated them from their people and ultimately contributed to the fall of the Romanov dynasty. Love did not protect them, rather, their attachment blinded them to reality. Even in literature, we find cautionary tales disguised as love stories. King Shah Jahan, the ruler who built the Taj Mahal as a monument to his beloved wife, spent his final years imprisoned by his own son, gazing at the tomb of the woman he adored. Love did not bring him freedom, it became his sorrow, a reminder of impermanence and loss. Buddhist philosophy warns us against clinging, not just to people but to ideas, emotions, and desires. When we desperately seek fulfillment in another person, we ignore the impermanence of human nature. A partner cannot promise eternal happiness because happiness itself is fleeting. The Buddha himself renounced the comforts of family life to seek enlightenment, realizing that attachment breeds suffering. His story is a testament to the idea that true contentment arises from within, not from external relationships. Many people fear growing old alone, but loneliness does not come from solitude, it comes from the illusion that someone else is responsible for our happiness. When we place that burden on a relationship, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The most tragic irony? Some of the loneliest people are those trapped in unfulfilling relationships, bound not by love, but by fear. It is time to dismantle the myth that marriage or companionship is a safeguard against suffering. Happiness is not a gift granted by another person, it is a discipline, a state of mind, a journey inward. And often, it is in solitude that we find the truest form of freedom. Growing old as a single person grants you the ultimate freedom, a freedom that many people fail to realize when they are caught in the rush of relationships and societal expectations. Society has conditioned us to believe that love and companionship are essential for happiness, yet the reality is that being single in later life often brings a sense of liberation and fulfillment that far exceeds the constraints of traditional partnerships. One of the most profound freedoms is freedom from emotional drama. Relationships, especially long-term ones, often come with conflicts, misunderstandings, and emotional baggage. These layers of unresolved emotions can become a heavy burden over time. Think of historical figures like Queen Elizabeth I of England, who chose to remain single throughout her reign. Her decision to avoid marriage allowed her to focus on her country's well-being without the emotional complexities that many couples endure. By staying single, she was free from the strains of emotional drama and could dedicate herself fully to her work, maintaining peace and stability for her nation. In many long-term relationships, emotional baggage accumulates like weighty stones in a sack. These unresolved issues can slowly suffocate the spirit, but when you are single, there is no emotional clutter to navigate, no constant misunderstandings to endure, and no toxic dynamics to repair. You can live each day free from the pain and strain that come from living in someone else's emotional world. Another key aspect of the freedom of being single is the freedom to live life on your own terms. Without a partner, your life becomes a blank canvas, ready for you to paint as you wish. The great philosopher Diogenes, a figure in ancient Greece, famously rejected all social conventions, living without material possessions and worldly attachments. His choice to live freely, without the constraints of family or romantic relationships, was a radical expression of personal freedom. Similarly, in modern times, many people who choose to live single lives enjoy the autonomy to make decisions that align entirely with their own desires and values. You can decide where to live, what to do with your time, and how to engage with the world without the need for compromise. You're not bound by another person's preferences or needs. Every choice is yours to make. Whether it's traveling the world, picking up a new hobby, or simply enjoying the quiet, being single allows you to prioritize your own happiness, unrestricted by the obligations that come with partnership. Most importantly, being single offers the unparalleled opportunity for self-discovery. In relationships, people often lose touch with their true selves, becoming so entangled in the lives of their partners that they forget what makes them unique. Historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci, who remained single for most of his life, dedicated themselves entirely to their passions and creations. Da Vinci's ability to focus without distraction allowed him to achieve greatness in art, science, and invention. His life shows us that solitude can lead to immense personal growth and success, as it provides the space to pursue passions that might otherwise be neglected. When you're single, you have the chance to rediscover your own interests and reconnect with the essence of who you are. Buddhism teaches us that solitude is not synonymous with loneliness, rather, it is an opportunity for introspection and enlightenment. The Buddha himself left behind his family and royal life in search of spiritual awakening, understanding that true happiness comes not from the attachments of others but from an inner peace cultivated through self-reflection. Being single offers you the chance to look within, to explore your spiritual journey, and to rediscover passions and talents that may have been long forgotten. In embracing solitude, you gain wisdom, the wisdom of self-sufficiency and inner peace. You realize that you are not dependent on anyone else for your happiness. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a chance to tune into your soul, to explore your thoughts without interruption, and to pursue the things that bring you joy without compromise. Just as Buddhist monks seek silence and solitude to find enlightenment, you too can use your alone time to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Being single as you grow old is not about rejecting love or companionship, but about realizing that your true happiness doesn't rely on the presence of another person. It's about embracing the freedom to craft a life that is uniquely yours, one that is emotionally peaceful, autonomous, and deeply connected to your inner self. In a world that often tells us we need someone else to be complete, the single life offers a profound truth: you are already whole. The idea that companionship in old age can only be found through a romantic partner is a deeply ingrained belief. It's often thought that growing old with someone by your side guarantees not only care but also happiness, yet this assumption is fraught with misconceptions. The truth is far more nuanced, and in many cases, companionship can be an illusion masked by the presence of another person. First and foremost, not all relationships provide the companionship we seek. Many elderly couples live under the same roof but are emotionally estranged. The passage of time, combined with unresolved conflicts or simply the dulling of affection, creates an invisible chasm between them. This phenomenon isn't rare, historically. Even couples who have shared decades of life together sometimes find themselves leading parallel existences. One powerful example comes from the life of American writer John Steinbeck, whose relationship with his second wife, Elaine Scott, despite their outward harmony, lacked the emotional depth Steinbeck had once shared with his first wife, Carol. As time passed, they became more like roommates than romantic partners, highlighting how the external presence of a partner doesn't automatically equate to genuine companionship. Emotional distance can easily arise in relationships that no longer thrive on mutual understanding or shared passions, leaving both parties in a silent form of isolation. Moreover, a partner does not always guarantee care in the later years of life. The notion that a spouse will automatically provide support as we age is often idealized, but the reality can be quite different. Many elderly individuals find themselves in nursing homes or assisted living facilities, even if they've been in long-term relationships. It's a harsh truth that many couples face, especially as health declines or one partner becomes incapable of providing the physical or emotional care the other needs. Famous figures like the late French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir, who lived alone in her later years, rejected the expectation that aging should necessarily mean dependence on a partner. De Beauvoir, who had experienced the complexities of partnership throughout her life, understood that care in old age must be cultivated in various forms, not merely through romantic or familial relationships. The aging process often requires a more diverse support network, friends, caregivers, and even professional services, that a single partner might not be able to provide alone. The most profound myth is that loneliness is synonymous with being physically alone. It's possible to feel deeply isolated even when living with a partner. This form of loneliness often stems from a lack of emotional intimacy or shared meaning. For instance, the renowned psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, in his work on existentialism and the human condition, observed that loneliness arises not from being alone, but from the absence of connection with others. Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, understood that true companionship isn't about proximity, but emotional connection, shared purpose, and mutual understanding. Many elderly individuals in relationships feel a sense of emptiness, not because their partner is absent, but because they have drifted apart over time, lost in a sea of unspoken thoughts and unmet emotional needs. The absence of meaningful conversation, shared experiences, or a sense of emotional security can leave one feeling just as alone as if they were living alone. In contrast, single individuals have the opportunity to cultivate deeper, more fulfilling relationships with others outside of a romantic context. They can build friendships, join community groups, or engage in social activities that nourish their sense of belonging and connection. Historical examples like the Greek philosopher Epicurus, who championed the idea of friendship over romantic relationships, show that the strongest bonds are often those formed through shared interests and values. Epicurus believed that happiness was not found in romantic entanglements, but in meaningful, non-romantic relationships that foster emotional growth and mutual support. In modern times, the growing number of older individuals who thrive in singlehood by seeking out enriching friendships and community involvement provides living proof of this principle. Additionally, practices like mindfulness or meditation can offer profound companionship in solitude. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of being at peace with oneself, especially in the later years of life. The Buddha himself often spoke of the power of solitude, not as a means of isolation, but as a gateway to self-understanding and inner peace. Through mindfulness, single individuals can cultivate a deep connection with their own thoughts and emotions, turning solitude into a source of strength and serenity, rather than loneliness. The illusion of companionship through a partner often blinds us to the richer, more meaningful relationships we can build in our lives. True companionship is found not in the presence of another person, but in the depth of connection, whether with friends, a community, or oneself. As we grow older, it's important to recognize that the richness of life is not measured by romantic relationships, but by the relationships we nurture with others and with our inner selves. Emotional independence is the bedrock of true freedom, a key element that many overlook when caught up in the chase for external validation and affection. In relationships, it's easy to become ensnared by the desire for emotional fulfillment from others, but as we grow older, we come to realize that such dependence can be the source of immense suffering. The truth is, seeking happiness through another person's presence or approval is an endless cycle that never leads to lasting contentment. In Buddhism, this concept is made clear: true peace and happiness cannot be sourced from others, but must arise from within. When you are emotionally independent, you no longer rely on another person to provide you with the sense of worth or joy that you crave. You do not need someone else's smile, words, or presence to affirm your existence. Instead, your happiness becomes self-generated, sourced from your own deep sense of self-respect and understanding. This radical autonomy is liberating. It frees you from the chains of needing validation or seeking reassurance, both of which are ephemeral and unreliable. Think of the great philosopher Socrates, who famously declared that an unexamined life is not worth living. He understood that the deepest form of happiness comes from internal exploration and introspection, rather than from external sources or other people's opinions. This wisdom offers a profound truth: when you understand your own worth and cultivate your inner life, you become less susceptible to the shifting tides of external validation. Moreover, emotional independence liberates you from the fear of solitude. One of the greatest fears many face as they grow older is the thought of being alone, but in reality, solitude can be a profound source of strength and self-realization. Buddhist monks and mystics have long practiced solitude not as a form of punishment or loneliness, but as a gateway to enlightenment. The monk Thich Nhat Hanh, revered for his teachings on mindfulness, often spoke about how silence and solitude are not voids, but spaces in which the true essence of one's being can be rediscovered. Solitude is not a condition to be feared, it is an opportunity for self-reflection, growth, and the discovery of one's inner peace. In the quiet, you are free from distractions, free from the needs of others, and free to listen to the still, subtle voice within you that connects you to a deeper sense of meaning. As you embrace solitude, you begin to understand that you are whole as you are, no external presence is needed to complete you. This understanding naturally leads to embracing change and impermanence, a central tenet in both Buddhism and Stoic philosophy. Life is in constant flux, and relationships, like all things, are subject to the ever-shifting winds of time. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, and attachment to relationships is no different. We often hold on to people, places, and things as if they are permanent, but the reality is that change is inevitable. By cultivating emotional independence, we develop the ability to accept this impermanence with grace. We learn not to fear the end of a relationship, the fading of love, or the passage of time, because we understand that these are simply phases in the natural cycle of life. The philosopher Heraclitus famously said, "You cannot step into the same river twice," underscoring the constant flux of life. Accepting this change is not a form of resignation, but of liberation, a recognition that clinging to what we cannot control only leads to suffering. Meditation and mindfulness are the tools that help us achieve this emotional autonomy. These practices allow us to develop a deep awareness of our thoughts and emotions, enabling us to detach from them rather than be swept away by them. In the silence of meditation, we observe our thoughts as they arise, but we do not identify with them. We learn to sit with discomfort and stillness, not as an enemy, but as an ally. Through mindfulness, we cultivate an awareness of our present state that allows us to experience emotions without being overwhelmed by them. The Buddhist teachings on mindfulness emphasize the importance of observing our mental patterns without attachment. This practice enables us to break free from the habit of seeking fulfillment from external sources and instead find peace in our own presence. As you grow in mindfulness, you come to understand that no relationship, no person, no external circumstance can give you the peace that resides within you. The true power of emotional independence lies not in rejecting relationships or seeking isolation, but in understanding that your happiness and sense of worth are not contingent on others. It is the ability to be fully at peace with yourself, complete and whole, regardless of the external circumstances. As you cultivate emotional independence, you become the master of your own happiness, and you are no longer vulnerable to the whims of others. This is the essence of freedom, and it is a freedom that no relationship, no matter how perfect, can provide. The health benefits of being single are often overlooked, but research shows that those who embrace singlehood may actually experience more vitality and wellness than their partnered counterparts. While society often portrays couples as the epitome of happiness and success, the truth is that relationships, particularly those fraught with conflict, can take a serious toll on physical and mental health. In contrast, being single can be a pathway to greater well-being, both inside and out. One of the most compelling reasons single people tend to live healthier lives is the lower stress levels they experience. Relationship conflicts, whether emotional disputes or power struggles, create chronic stress that can wreak havoc on the body. Prolonged stress is linked to a host of health problems, including high blood pressure, weakened immune function, and increased risk of heart disease. In contrast, single individuals have the unique opportunity to lead a life free from the emotional turmoil that often accompanies unhealthy relationships. They are better able to protect their peace, which translates into lower cortisol levels, better sleep, and a more balanced physical state. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that those in stressful relationships had higher levels of stress hormones and suffered from more health problems compared to their single peers. This illustrates how the emotional strain of relationships can have profound physical consequences. Furthermore, singles often engage in more physical activity. Without the distractions and obligations that come with maintaining a romantic relationship, single individuals have more time and energy to devote to their own well-being. Many single people develop active routines centered around fitness, whether through solo activities like yoga, hiking, or cycling, or by pursuing hobbies that get them moving. On the other hand, some couples, especially as they grow older, tend to fall into sedentary lifestyles, finding comfort in shared activities that don't necessarily promote physical health. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates famously said, "Exercise is the chief source of improvement in health." And those who are single often find it easier to prioritize their physical fitness without the pull of relational obligations. Beyond physical activity, single individuals are also more likely to maintain vibrant social networks. While couples can sometimes become insular, focusing solely on their relationship, singles tend to keep a wide circle of friends, family, and community connections. They engage in diverse social groups, from fitness clubs to book clubs, from volunteering efforts to spiritual gatherings. These rich social lives foster a sense of belonging and emotional support, which are essential for mental well-being. Research has shown that strong social networks contribute to lower risks of depression, increased longevity, and better overall health. In fact, a study conducted by the National Institute on Aging found that social connections are just as important to health as exercise and diet. Singles, by nature of their independence, often cultivate these connections in a way that enhances their quality of life. In Buddhism, the body is viewed as an integral part of the path to enlightenment. Just as mental clarity and emotional well-being are cultivated through meditation and mindfulness, physical health is nurtured through mindful eating, exercise, and self-care. The Buddha taught that our body is a vessel for the mind, and when we honor it with healthy practices, we strengthen our ability to seek wisdom and peace. Being single offers the opportunity to fully dedicate oneself to this holistic approach to health. Without the emotional burdens of a relationship, single individuals can focus on nourishing their body with wholesome food, engaging in regular physical activity, and creating a balanced routine that nurtures both body and mind. This allows them to live more harmoniously with themselves, which in turn enhances their overall vitality and longevity. In essence, being single offers an unexpected yet profound set of health benefits that are often overshadowed by the societal ideal of romantic partnership. By avoiding the emotional strain of dysfunctional relationships, prioritizing physical fitness, and cultivating a strong social network, single individuals can achieve a level of health and well-being that many couples may find elusive. Moreover, in following the wisdom of Buddhism, they can view their single status not as a limitation, but as an opportunity to nurture both the body and mind, creating a foundation for a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. In the journey of aging, choosing to remain single does not mean resigning oneself to loneliness or emptiness. Instead, it opens the door to profound opportunities for self-discovery and happiness. The key lies in cultivating a mindset rooted in the principles of mindfulness, self-love, and connection to the greater world around you. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, teaches us to live fully in the present moment. As we age, it's all too easy to become consumed by thoughts of the past, regrets over missed opportunities, unfulfilled dreams, or relationships that didn't last. Alternatively, we might fear what the future holds, wondering if we'll be lonely or if our health will decline. But true happiness lies in releasing these worries and immersing ourselves in the now. Buddha himself spent years meditating under the Bodhi tree, teaching that the path to enlightenment lies not in the past or the future, but in the present. By practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation, conscious breathing, or simply savoring a cup of tea, we reconnect with the richness of life as it is, and cultivate a deep sense of peace. Another Buddhist-inspired practice that brings joy is the creation of a supportive community. While you may choose to live alone, that doesn't mean you must be isolated. In fact, many elderly singles find that their social lives thrive when they step away from the confines of a romantic relationship. Building strong, meaningful friendships can provide a sense of belonging and connection. Engaging in activities such as group meditation, book clubs, or volunteer organizations can connect you with like-minded individuals who share your interests and values. These friendships become a vital source of emotional nourishment. The Dalai Lama often emphasizes the importance of human connection, stating, "The purpose of life is to be happy, and happiness is best achieved through love and compassion for others." When we surround ourselves with people who uplift and support us, we amplify our capacity for happiness. Solitude, which many perceive as a burden, can actually be a great gift for those who are single in old age. The quiet moments spent alone offer a unique space for introspection, creativity, and growth. Think of the great philosophers and artists throughout history, like Leonardo da Vinci, who, in his moments of solitude, brought forth some of humanity's greatest masterpieces. Or the contemplative journeys of many Buddhist monks who live in seclusion to deepen their understanding of life and the universe. Solitude offers an unparalleled opportunity for self-reflection, meditation, and personal growth. By embracing time alone as a sacred space for inner exploration, you can develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and unlock a reservoir of peace and clarity. In the process of discovering happiness as a single elderly person, one of the most powerful tools is to help others. Buddhist philosophy teaches that true fulfillment comes not from what we accumulate, but from what we give. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, create ripples of positivity in the world around us. Volunteering at a local shelter, offering wisdom to younger generations, or simply helping a neighbor with groceries can bring a sense of purpose and joy. Helping others not only strengthens the social fabric but also reminds us that we are all interconnected. The Buddha believed that altruism and compassion were fundamental to a meaningful life, and this extends beyond relationships. It's about connecting with the world and leaving a lasting impact. In choosing to remain single, you are also choosing a life of great potential. Singlehood doesn't equate to isolation, it offers a chance to nurture deeper relationships with yourself and the world around you. You have the freedom to cultivate mindfulness, build meaningful connections, explore your own soul in solitude, and contribute positively to your community. As you age, these practices don't just sustain happiness, they enrich it, allowing you to live a life that is full of purpose, joy, and peace. Imagine waking up each day, knowing that you are free from the chains of emotional dependence, societal pressures, and the constant search for external validation. No more fear of loneliness, no more anxiety over finding the perfect partner, just the peace that comes with embracing your own company. Now is the time to reclaim your inner peace and happiness. Start by embracing your solitude as a powerful tool for self-reflection, growth, and true fulfillment. Step into your own power today. Find joy in your independence and freedom. It's all about making the choice to live authentically. Right now, we are creating a community of empowered individuals who understand that true connection begins within. Join us by subscribing, and share your journey of self-discovery in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to embrace the freedom that comes with being single, and together, we will cultivate a life of peace, wisdom, and inner harmony. Your happiness is already inside you. Let it shine.